setting. The main thing I'm going to be focusing on in all of this talk is this thing I see in all of pedagogical translanguaging, which is a focus on the individual and starting with that perspective and then building off of that. And so build background with preview, view, review, which you can see on the screen, is essential to what I just said. It starts with preview, where you're viewing, discussing, and brainstorming a topic or text in the home language of a student. Again, starting with the core of the person, starting with who they are. Then you're viewing the topic presented in English, okay? And then you're reviewing that information again. You're summarizing it, you're discussing it, you're analyzing it in the home language of the individual. And what this does is it bookends English learning with the home language of the student. It builds off of the already present linguistic foundation of the student and allows the student to learn, and so that the quote unquote building process can begin. Here's some practical applications. Multilingual Listening Center, Internet as a multilingual resource. What these are, in again, the resource that I took a look at, these things encourage students to listen to audio material in their home languages through the internet or by other means. Another practical application was using multilingual texts, comparing them, doing multilingual research. It increases the student depth of understanding, allowing them to fully utilize their languages, and it allows them to research in their dominant language, as well as allows teachers to accurately assess their full linguistic capacity in all of their repertoire. So you can design units around multilingual culminating projects as well. This would be a goal-oriented project. And there's an emphasis here on home language with English in creative ways, being creative about the use of home language with English. In community study, you can investigate the languages of relevant neighboring communities. This, again, brings it back to the individual, to the makes it relevant to the individual, wherein they compare the studied community culture language with curriculum texts. You can do language portfolios in the classroom. This is where you would collect a work by a student would collect their own work and progress over time, and that's key, over time. It would document competency in multiple language and cultural awareness. There's also the practical application of bilingual dictionaries and picture dictionaries, multilingual word walls, which would be making walls with words in different languages. Cognate charts, and these would all be arranged visually, textually, to represent all the relevant languages in that classroom and facilitate a deeper understanding through bridging different languages. And that's key, building, and here building all this, bridging, constructing over the foundation of the student. Then there's also collaborative work, reading groups in content areas, having multilingual writing partners. What this does is it pairs students strategically. And in this case, and in all cases, both languages or more than two languages are used for a specific purpose in every case. There is translanguaging, the application of translanguaging with language experience approach, which is a collaborative effort by students to recount shared experiences. Again, this is a group thing. And what the teacher does in this case is they act as a scribe. The students dictate a shared experience. The teacher writes it down. The teacher goes back to the students and says, how does this sound to you? And the students then perform the corrections. The teacher is not involved in correcting anything. Then there's something called a 4-box graphic organizer and Frayer model, in which there are 4 items: the vocabulary word, an image of the word, a definition of the word, and a sentence using the word in multiple languages. So here you can see an example of that, where there's natural resources, recursos naturales. I imagine the line below that is Mandarin. You see a picture of that, these natural resources, things people can use from nature. Okay, you get the idea. Then there is the practical application of conferring about syntax transfer. What this means is it's comparing word order in 2 different languages. You start with the language of the student, study the language structure, you look at the structure of the target language, and you compare them. And what this does is it draws on former language knowledge rather than trying to just teach grammar rules with no connection to the individual student, or rather the student does not have that tangible connection. You can also do sentence building, which again, you can compare the sentence building in the home language of the student and the target language. Then there's translanguaging in general, with writing, multi-genre writing, independent writing. What this allows a student to do is engage in their full language repertoire. This allows students to write about topics in different ways through use of more than one language. And in this way, students develop an overall language ability, which is nurtured by the process. These are my references. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.